Hi, I'd like to talk to you explained by me. I want to specifically address the fallacy of trade deficits, why Trump and the other countries think they are bad. But before I do that, I would like to give you the context, the historical context, last 50 years, which was that most countries believed that it was in their self-interest to have a positive trade deficit, or so they preferred to keep their currencies cheap so they could sell cheap in the rest of the world. And they thought it was better if they sold more to other countries than other countries sold to them. Now, obviously, all countries cannot sell more to other countries than the other countries sell to them, which means some countries have to buy more in order for them to be able, some others to be able to sell more. Now, historically, the United States took the other side of that trade and therefore had trade deficits, negative trade deficits, which the word negative confuses people because all it means is that you're buying more than what you're selling. And that was based on the strong dollar policy. For 50 years, we followed that. And it made it cheap for us to buy foreign goods, but it did make it a bit more difficult to export because our prices were higher based on our high dollar. Anyway, that's the context. Now, recently, Trump apparently has bought into this fallacy of trade deficits and thinking that the other country is robbing us or stealing from us when we have a trade deficit. They're not stealing anything. They're not robbing anything. They're just trying to sell more than what they buy, which doesn't mean that everything is going to be bad for the person who buys their goods. The person who buys cheap goods, the cheaper the goods they sell to them, the better. So this is a fallacy. All it means when you have a trade deficit, it means that you're getting the goods and the other country is getting the paper, the dollars or whatever currency is involved. And ultimately, this doesn't really matter because when another country gets our dollars, what are they going to do with the dollars? Are they going to put them in a pillow and sleep on them? No, they have to find something to do. So, for example, what did China do? Well, they had a lot of extra cash, so they lent us money at very low interest rates. So we got a lot of cheap loans as a result of this policy as well, which also benefited our economy. So that is the basic fallacy that everybody's operating on, that if you have a negative trade balance or a deficit trade, that you are losing. But that doesn't mean you're losing. You are gaining the efficiency of getting cheap goods. And I ask you, what do you prefer, the goods or the paper? I personally prefer the goods. Now, why is it, what is the political reason why so many countries made this decision? Well, a lot of these countries are socialistic, and don't be misguided by socialism. Socialism is in league, in cahoots with the elites of the society, the manufacturers, the exporters. And they make policies that favor the producers, the exporters, the elites. They could care less about their population, about their average man, about the cost that it is to him to pay for the goods that he needs to live. So the United States, the capitalist country, was the one that really cared about the little guy and the prices that he paid, and made it easier for him to have a better life. So this is the political reason why they all want to sell more than they buy. So now, what happened in the G7? Well, Trump had an opportunity to expose these people for the hypocrites that they are, because they claim that they are in favor of free trade, when in fact what they want to do is sell more than what they buy. They don't want free trade. And the way they do that is they jinx the market by putting tariffs or subsidies, all kinds of ways, so that make it more difficult for the people selling into their market to be able to sell. Now, of course, that hurts their consumers, makes the prices in their countries high, and just is deleterious to the standard of living that the people have to live in these socialist countries. It's just one more example of the bad consequences of socialism. So in the G7, Trump proposed no tariffs. You notice the other countries didn't go for it. They ignored it. Now, his only mistake was not to press them publicly to take a position. So in front of the cameras, he had to ask them one by one, starting with the Canadian, Trudeau, hey, are you willing to eliminate all tariffs? And we'll eliminate all tariffs. And he would balk, and so would Merkel, and so would all the rest of them, because they don't believe in that. That's not what they want. What they really want is to sell more than what they buy. Now, in effect, they are succumbing to certain pressure groups inside their countries, and now we are doing the same. So we are succumbing to the pressure from the steel and aluminum workers. There aren't many aluminum workers, really, but steel workers. And that's not really going to help anybody much, and it's going to be harmful. So this is why we need to untangle the truth. Now, Trump was snookered by Trudeau. How? Because they made a communication which was better than nothing, which is what he should have accepted, which he originally was going to accept, which was they all agreed to reduce tariffs. Well, of course, they weren't going to do it, but at least for public consumption, the publicity war was good, and he should have been signing up for that, because that's better than not reducing tariffs. Of course, the best thing is to reduce them to zero. But he got irritated and with what Trudeau said about the United States, and so he let his emotions get involved, and he didn't sign the communique asking for lower tariffs. And so they won a publicity war, and they snookered him on that little point. But the important thing is the facts, or the truth about economics and politics of this issue. And I hope you can share with me your comments, see if you agree with my analysis or not. Thank you.